Hey, everybody, welcome to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson, and we are going to start a new series on extremism, or when it goes too far, looking at different categories where competitors often find themselves so far into the weeds that they just don't realize how much they are majoring on the minors. So the first one is going to be literally that, just diet extremism, finding something in your diet that you take so far to one end that it no longer becomes useful. And I know, Adam, out of all of the things that we could talk about, I do want to pick one, and you had mentioned this specifically, like fiber, because I know as people try to control carbs and so forth, that's where they can really end up harming themselves or even doing just a big disservice in fat loss. But in general, go ahead and talk to me about diet extremism.
Yeah, so basically, when someone just really subscribes to just one thing, so we see it with like high protein diets pretty often, high fat diets where you could maybe move some of that more into carbs, get a better thermic effect. But like you said, to your point, fiber is a huge one that we see because that causes a lot of gut issues with people. They may look like they're 6 months pregnant after eating so much fiber because they deem that it's healthy. And that could actually come from a lot of things too, which we'll get into, having too many of certain vitamins and things like that. But oftentimes, things taken too far are more harmful than good. I even think if it fits your macros can fall into that category where people just aren't planning, they're not weighing their foods. If they were in a prep, that could be detrimental. However, if it's just a general lifestyle, probably fine. They may want to cut back on their, processed foods some, but I don't think it's going to inflict like some damage. But the high fiber, definitely, I see a lot of dysbiosis cases come in because people just are eating way, way, way too much.
Well, yeah, and if we continue with that as just an example, this is a place where, and I swear, I want to look this up. I have no idea if there's any research on this, but when you consume too much fiber, and part of this may be that it's just difficult to track, but when I see clients think that starch is bad, carbs are bad, so I'm going to get all of my volumetric type, filling and needs from fibrous carb sources, vegetables, they often just lose body fat much, much slower. So if you take an isocaloric shift, take away some of that fiber, add starch, not only do some of those gut health issues resolve, as you said, Adam, but they actually start losing faster. And I think either there's just a lot of miscalculation in how much fiber they actually think they're consuming. They think it's kind of free. But we know that even insoluble fiber in your large intestine gets metabolized anaerobically by bacteria, turns into fat, and then gets taken back up into the body. So even something that you think is that inert has caloric value. So there are a couple different directions that could be harmful. But that is just one example of somebody doing something they think is very, very good for them, and it's just not on multiple levels.
Absolutely. Yeah. So basically, try not to take anything and marry into one ideology, and also go by how you feel. Because I think some of these people just ignore that they've got massive gas and bloating, and that's beyond healthy. But just because they think it is, they're so convinced and they push past the point of comfort pretty easily.
Mhm. And you brought in a little bit of everything, like high protein, high fat, et cetera. And as I was talking in a flexible dieting podcast, just the fact that most people don't realize, even when you're trying to be extremely accurate and objective, if you don't look at just a single day as the ultimate metric of time, if you think, well, man, I'm just super, super hungry today, maybe I need a little extra meal, a little extra of this, 100 calories. And then the next day or 2 days later, you don't need quite as much. If you start looking at a little bit more moderation like that, including different diet methodologies as simply tools, and you can use all those tools when you need them, it's not, as you said, marrying into just one method.
Right.
Okay. All right, guys, we will see you next time in episode 2, where we keep talking about taking things too far.